I had mostly finished writing what I was going to talk about you today, and I put it away for a few minutes for a real life example of what I'm going to talk about. So I'm writing this, and I put it away for a few seconds last night, and I turn on a basketball game, which I'm a huge fan of basketball. A huge fan. That's a subjective term. Anyway, so I tune into the game. My son and I are sitting there, and we hear this sound that is not a normal basketball sound. It's not shoes squeaking, a ball bouncing. It just sounds like this smack. And then we see the guys marching back down the court, and there is a guy laying under the basket on the floor, a fan. And it looked like there's another guy who's dressed in all black who has tackled him. And I know that I believe this is the policy of the TV network because they don't show when people run on the screen where they don't want to make them popular or whatever. So the next thing is the high camera angle view of the whole stadium. But if you know where to look, you know where the guy was, and you see these extra security guys coming and they're rushing the guy out the door. So I got to see that last night, minutes after deciding this is what I wanted to talk about. And there's been several. If you're not a sports fan, there's been several incidents since we started re-allowing fans back into the basketball stadiums and whatever stadiums, could be hockey, whatever else is going on right now. But incidents of people in basketball throwing water bottles at players, saying racist things to their families, dumping popcorn on them, and just saying horrendous things. So I do want to talk about that a little, but I would say today that these people are just acting like a fool. We've always had streakers, people running onto the fields and acting like idiots. Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, and he was right. This kind of behavior has probably always been around, but now we see it more often because we have so many social media, so many cameras, 24-hour news showing us all these fools doing this sort of thing. But that's not the topic. We're going to talk about these people who are acting a fool. It seems that any dreams that we had of a kinder, more benevolent world post-pandemic are not becoming a reality. And we're going to look at Proverbs today for some more wisdom. Good morning. I am Jeff Elliott, pastor of New Horizons Fellowship. But you likely know that. If you don't, drop me a little note in the comment and say that you're here. You'd like to know more. Anyway, here's what else I'd like you to write in the comments today. What did you do with your Memorial Day? Ours has traditionally not been that big of a deal. I don't know that we ever went to a Memorial Day parade. I don't think there have been a whole lot anyway. Usually we cook out. That's about it. There's usually fireworks in our neighborhood. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you did for your Memorial Day, whether it could be exciting or just as dull as mine. Anyway, a couple jokes to get us off to the right foot this morning. Did you realize that this morning an incredible event occurred? Everyone in the entire world was dismayed. And that's the story. It's now June 1st, so we were dismayed. I thought you might take you a while to get that one. Anyway, my grandfather has the heart of a lion and a lifetime ban from the zoo. Last one for the day. Did you hear about the archaeologist that discovered the largest lower leg bone ever discovered? It was quite the shindig. Yeah. And I don't know if shindig is a common word or it's more of a local folklore colloquial thing. Anyway, if you're watching overseas, you probably don't know what we mean by a shindig. It's a get together, a party. But in this case, I was talking about a lower leg. Anyway, that's the typical high class quality jokes that we get here on Word for the World. But it is early in the week, so we'll do better. We've had here, so let's get back to what I'm talking about acting a fool today. On the church marquee here for a couple weeks now, I'm going to change it this morning, but it's had Proverbs 3:27, which says this: "Do not withhold good from those who deserve it when it is in your power to act." Now, when I put it out there, I had many different scenarios in mind. An employer rewarding his employees, parents blessing their children, honoring spouses, whoever is worthy of being praised. So, because that's basically what the concept of the proverb is. So that would be lesson number one for us today, the shorter one. If you see someone worthy of reward, someone who's done something right, be the one to reward or appraise them. I also realize that I am preaching to the choir about these people who act like fools, because most of you have never and would never do something like I've been describing. So let me reward you and say thank you for being a decent human being, and trying to interact on a normal human level with people and being kind and generous and gracious and those things. Unfortunately, it seems that the people who deserve good are less and less. We see them less and less, and the fools are the ones that we see on TV all the time, right? I am totally in favor of the policy of let's not show these idiots acting like idiots on TV. So that brings me to the second principle for the day. Let's relearn how to act, people. I know it's been a long year in pandemic. We have a lot of reasons that people are angry, depressed, frustrated, whatever it may be. We have all tried to get through this together. And we had such a sense of, this happens at time of wars too, right? Everybody has such a sense of, we're all in this together, and what's the word I'm looking for? A sense of fellowship, I guess, would be the word. A sense of, I can't think of the word anyway. Write the word in the comment box if you know what I'm thinking of. But we're all so eager, right, to get back to life as normal, to be mask free, to gather at large events, sporting events, whatever it may be, being able to hug each other again, see relatives, and so forth. It almost seems as if we're relearning how to act in social situations. I told you we've been doing a series. This Sunday we'll be starting a series in the book of Proverbs. So what we're going to be doing here on Word for the World is taking some things that won't make a sermon series or a message out of, and talking about them in a practical way. So I found about 3 verses today that talk about this idea about acting a fool. Proverbs 13:16 was the first one. Every prudent man acts with knowledge, but a fool flaunts his folly. And that's what we've been seeing. Wise people think before they act is basically what that verse says. Fools don't. They just brag about their foolishness. That was Proverbs 13. Proverbs 14:17, next chapter. A man of quick temper acts foolishly, and a man of evil devices is hated. I think most of us realize this, that when those people show up on TV, it's like, oh, why are you wasting time? And they literally had to stop the game last night. The play was going on as the guy was running onto the floor. Proverbs 21:29. A wicked man puts on a bold face. It means he just acts arrogantly. But the upright gives thought to his ways. I guess I would say that to us today, and I know you're not in danger of running out onto a court or doing something like that. There's a verse in Numbers 32 that I remember hearing as a kid. Be sure your sin will find you out. Don't be a fool. There was one more verse in Proverbs that I wanted to talk to you this morning. It's Proverbs 30, and I want to read this from, it's more of a paraphrase than a translation, so don't base your theology on this, but sometimes it has some interesting applications. So this is Proverbs chapter 30, verses 32 and 33 from the Message. Here's how it reads. If you're dumb enough to call attention to yourself by offending people and making rude gestures, don't be surprised if someone bloodies your nose. Churned milk turns into butter. Riled emotions turn into fistfights. Isn't that what we're seeing a lot of nowadays? I'm also, don't hear me as endorsing violence, that we should take these people out and beat them, which that was what some of the former basketball players that are commentators now, when these events happened, they said, I heard one basketball player say, hey, take him back into a room and lock him in there with him and everybody else leave, right? Like, of course, these mammoth players are going to be able to physically beat up whoever was doing these things to them. But I don't think that actually resolves it and makes people stop doing these things. So that's my message to us today. Stop acting like fools, and start acting and rewarding people that deserve it. Believe it or not, there is a section, or I should call it a genre of YouTube. And if you ever read comments on some things, it's just, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is, it escalates so quickly, and we have so far away from being able to interact with any degree of understanding and generosity and kindness. But I have found a section on YouTube where the comment section is filled with encouraging words, and I hope you're doing well, even to people they don't even know, right? Most of the comments are just inhumane. and that is the word that I would use, the way we speak to each other. But there is a section of YouTube, and maybe someday I will talk about that. I'm there quite often. But anyway, the ability to comment with no consequences has really created a problem in the way we interact with each other. Again, I'm not endorsing physical violence to resolve issues. I'm endorsing people becoming wiser. And as I've said on a number of occasions, as James would say to us, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And Proverbs would tell us to think about what you're doing. Be wise in your actions. So I would say today to you, use your time. Invest your energy in fighting against foolishness. You can use a comment section to encourage someone. Hint, hint. You could also use this Facebook Live comment section. Not to encourage me, but to anybody else that's watching this. And then we can repeat this YouTube genre that I've been talking about. Anyway, time's up for today. I wanted to stop in and say hello, hear about your Memorial Day in the comment section, and just point out that we should be rewarding those who aren't fools and not rewarding those who are. So let me have a word of prayer with you today. By the way, if you have prayer requests, you can email me. You can private message me through Facebook, whatever, and I'd be glad to share. I don't have to pray for those in public. I understand sometimes those things you don't want everybody to know, but feel free to share those with me, and I will remember those in my own. Unless you want it to be public, we can do that as well. But let's have a word of prayer today. Father, I thank you for those who are watching. Pray today that you'd help us to be wise in our actions and our words. Help us to be even more active in encouraging someone who is worthy of it. As Proverbs has told us, don't withhold good from someone to whom it is due. And we are so thankful that you have blessed us, not because we were worthy, but because you were loving and in sending your Son to die for us. We are grateful today. Help us to share that sacrifice, that giving with others around us, and to not reward fools. We are thankful for your word, the promises it brings, the principles that we have to live by, and help us to apply them wisely today. In Christ's name, amen. Thanks for being here. Have a good day. Hopefully we'll see you Thursday with a new proverb, and hopefully you haven't seen any more of these people who are acting like fools.